Hello there everyone, this is Hotform here. Today we're going to be watching some random Warsong Gulches that I did on my Marksman Hunter. And since we're jumping into the thick of things right here at the start, I should mention early that because it's just a random battleground, obviously some targets are going to have better gear and some targets are going to have worse gear. I myself am sitting in kind of the average BGers gear. I face people with both better and worse than me gear throughout these clips. But that will illuminate some of my target choices. You can tell who has better gear and who has worse gear generally by their buffs and their maximum health. You have to pay attention to their buffs because if they're fully buffed, their maximum health is going to be higher, so it's a little bit misleading. But that will affect your target choices in a random battleground for the best, because although sometimes there's better targets class-wise or strategy-wise to attack, just hitting the person with the lowest resilience in a random battleground is generally the most effective thing for a DPS to do, because you'll just do far more damage to them, regardless of what they are. So you want to keep that in mind as you go through and just look for the targets that are weakest, and then try to pick them off as quickly as possible. As I work on finishing off this paladin here, I'd like to talk a bit about how you maximize your damage as a hunter. You maximize your damage by never being attacked, and you avoid being attacked by positioning and clever use of cooldowns. You want to try to minimize how many cooldowns you use in each situation that you need to escape combat, but you want to use enough so that anyone who's chasing you kind of says to themselves, no, he's not worth it, I'm not going to bother to keep after him. Here I'm working on this paladin, I get kind of caught off guard, I wasn't looking behind me, which shows the importance of keeping an eye on the battlefield around you, but I am just going to burn some cooldowns, get out of there quickly, and make sure that there's a front line in front of me of other people to take the hits, because I'm not the one that's interested in getting hit. I want to do as much damage as I can, and standing in the middle of the battle isn't going to make that easy to do. I want to make sure that I'm right at the edge. I have the range to do that as a hunter, and I have the ability to kite in and out of range with all my mobility cooldowns. So just keeping your back away from your opponents and making sure that they never get a chance to attack you is the key to doing a lot of damage as a hunter, because when they're not attacking you, then see, I get to chase people around, I just kind of lay into them, and getting to sit here and turret as a hunter, you can do an exceptional amount of damage, much more than many other classes. So your turret damage is something that you really want to take advantage of, and you take advantage of that by making sure you're never attacked. Make sure you're never attacked by clever use of cooldowns and positioning. So that's the general idea behind playing a hunter in a battleground. See, I keep this front line of people in front of me. I know they're going to be spawning at the graveyard, so I just come back here, make sure that I set up a good position so that any waves of people that come at me from the other team are going to be first blocked off by my allies. If Rogue Stealth's behind me there, I'm just going to drop a flare, make sure that he doesn't get anywhere close to me, put a trap down, although he can see that, so I'm sure it's not going to do much. It is in the way of their resurrection path, so hopefully someone triggers it in the near future. As I continue to work on this paladin here, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you do when you're under pressure. Because what you're going to do depends on what you're being attacked by, what's around you. It's all decisions you make at the time. Do you have a chance to do any damage to them? Are you going to be able to land a kill? Are you going to be able to escape after you land that kill? Is escape even possible? These are all things you have to think about anytime you're having an engagement on a hunter. For example, if I was facing a warlock and a healer solo, then I'm not going to be able to do much. I could shoot the warlock, I could shoot the healer, but the healer's going to keep them alive pretty likely unless they're heavily undergeared, and the warlock's going to be able to dot me from any range, so there's not going to be a lot I can do other than melt away. That's one of those situations where it's probably best to just run. Counter to this, if I was facing a rogue and a healer, for example, I can kite the rogue pretty effectively, and if done properly, I shouldn't take any damage. So even though the rogue will stay alive while I'm doing it, it's pretty effective if I make his life miserable, because both he and the healer will be taking the time to try to kill me, and I'll be successfully kiting the rogue, so I won't be dying at the same time. It's just things like this, knowing what you have the ability to get away from, knowing what you're going to be able to kill, that is really important to a hunter, because you have to judge each situation as it comes up and know if you should stand and fight or if you should be running away and looking for backup. In this case, for example, I jumped away from that rogue, put a trap down, and got away pretty effectively there. But I just kept running. There was no reason for me to turn around. The rogue re-stealthed, and chances are I was going to die if I let them catch up to me. So I just kept running back until I had some backup, a line of people to hide behind, as it were. And now that they're here, now that I've got some backup, I can continue to shoot. It looks like we're heavily outnumbered, but there's no reason for me to flee the scene yet, because although we might lose this battle, we do have reinforcements streaming in, and despite that, I'll be the last one to die. That should always be true as a hunter. I should never die before anyone else, really, unless their entire team is focusing me. But by standing out of combat like this and just picking people off, despite the fact that we're outnumbered, I can put out a fair amount of pressure, keep people busy, and also anyone that decides to chase me, I can isolate them and hopefully assassinate them away from their allies, which is generally my goal in a large setup like this. I'm just going to toss a trap over there. Putting a trap in advance of where you know they're going to go or in the direction that you want to kite is very handy. And so if you plan a little bit ahead, you can almost always drag a team of people into a successful trap. I'm just going to keep shooting this warrior here and see if I can take him down. I'm going to be putting Serpent Sting up on the warrior because he's a protection warrior, so I know the fight's going to be lasting a long time. And Serpent Sting generally isn't good to do in something like a Battleground where people die very quickly, but when you know you're going to be attacking a target for an exceptionally long length of time, then it is a DPS increase because your Chimera shot is going to keep it up. So putting it on something like a Prot Warrior, where I know, of course, he's going to be alive for quite a while, it's a good choice to have. I'm fighting this Prot Paladin here now, and Trank Shot is very important to use against all Paladins because you can dispel their freedom, and there's literally no way a Paladin can catch you if you dispel their freedom. But you can see when I dispel his freedom there, I also dispel Vengeance, which is actually a significant DPS loss to any tank spec character. So Feral Druid, Protection Warrior, Blood Death Knight, or Protection Paladin. Vengeance, if you don't know, is a stacking attack power buff. And by Trank Shotting, you remove it and prevent its application for 15 seconds, which is actually a significant DPS loss for a tank. So if you can make sure you maximize your Trank Shot's effectiveness by dispelling a magic debuff on the tank as well, it's definitely a global that you want to be using. As we move into our next clip here, we're going to be heading into the top of their flag room to try to get our flag back. And I'm just going to try to post up here on the high ground because using places like this as a hunter is really important to battle, because when you can go unchecked like this and just fire away without repercussion, it's pretty much the best position for you to be in. The warrior with the flag, jumps down there though, and that was a pretty foolish move by him. His healer was up top, and although his healer was crowd controlled, he might have been able to get lay on hands or some other save from the paladin, but by jumping down he completely isolated himself, so his death was inevitable. I'm just going to come up here and try to clean up some of the people on this ledge. It's a rogue and a holy paladin. The rogue gets freedom. I'm going to make sure I dispel that right away because the worst thing for your opponent to have as a hunter is freedom, and luckily it's dispellable for us. I'm going to focus Scattershot the paladin. He's going to trinket out of that. I'm just trying to get some CC on him here so I can actually get some good damage into the rogue. The rogue's shadow dancing, so I'll just trinket out of that cheap shot, make sure I get away here. And just keep some pressure out on the rogue. And with a focus silencing shot onto the paladin and a bit of help from downstairs, we're going to take the rogue down pretty easily, and now we'll just work on cleaning up the paladin as we move forward in the battle. We're going to be coming into our next clip where I'm going to show you how easy it is to kite a Retribution Paladin flawlessly as a hunter. The most important thing you need to do is dispel their freedom, because as long as you dispel their freedom, there's no way they can catch you. The second most important thing you can do is only trinket their Hammer of Justice. The Paladin bubbles here because he has no way to catch me. He's going to Repentance me, and he will get to me here, but don't be scared, don't be intimidated, you know. That Repentance isn't going to get you stuck. I'm just going to Scattershot in there. I actually have a little help from some other people at the moment, but I think you can see that just by dispelling that freedom there, he's already out of bubble and now no freedoms. There's literally no way that a Retribution Paladin can catch you when you dispel their freedom and just keep them concussive shotted the entire time. A silencing shot or a scatter shot can do well in a pinch if they do get too close to you. Same Retribution Paladin here, going to be starting off on him again, just dispelling all his buffs, get rid of that freedom. Okay, now we're good to kite. He's going to Repentance me. Again, I'll sit in it because there's no reason to trinket Repentance. That only gets him one hit. He puts wings up there. I got to get some focus to Trank Shot. He's going to Hammer Justice me, trying to catch me here. I just trinket out of that quickly because that's the only time he has where he'll actually have some attack time on me. And I do have some help here, but they're not actually doing that much damage in this grand scheme of things. They're more just keeping him slowed. And he gives up chasing me in the end because he realizes, yeah, there's no way that he can catch me. As soon as I just dispel his freedom, he's pretty much screwed. But this mage sneaks up on me here again, showing why battle awareness is important. So I've taken a lot of damage at this point. Now it's actually getting pretty low. I'm going to Deterrence Master's Call here, just try to get some distance on the mage, because I'm the focus right now. And as long as I can stay alive, my allies here helping me out should be able to clean him up. I'm just going to disengage away from him, make sure he's not close enough to get a Cone of Cold or Frost Nova on me. It's always good to stay almost max ranged against a mage, because there's no reason to be any closer than you have to be. Scattershot's the only advantage you get from being close, and even that can be used at a fair distance. I'm still pretty low on health here, but nah, I don't need to heal. Who we kidding? I'm a hunter. I'm not going to take any damage, so I get hodged here. I don't have Trinket up this time because we are still continuing from the last battle. The Paladin's going to put Blessing Protection up. I'll just dispel that, and a Warrior charges in here, so okay, things are getting pretty hectic now. I'm going to put a trap down, going to readiness, put a deterrence up here because that hammer at Wrath almost killed me, but I got to cancel the deterrence, use my readiness Chimera Shot to give me a bit of a heal so that those dots don't kill me because my health is so dangerously low. But luckily I do get away here. I'm going to feign death, just make sure I get some out of combat regen so that no dots do manage to kill me as we work on finishing off the warrior here. And I should be able to clean him up and head over and get a rejuvenation buff, so that'll be nice for me. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the video, and hopefully you learned a few things about your hunter and positioning in a battleground, because those positions are important for pretty much any ranged class and maximizing your DPS on them. So, I will see you guys next time.